Hi guys, welcome to Brass Bootcamp. Today I'm going to be going through a nice warm-up routine that's accessible for everybody from grade 1 through to grade 8, and I'm going to be using the Trinity Scales and Exercises book. So first of all, I always start with a nice breathing exercises, and what we're doing today is going through what I do in what order and telling you about what my thought process is and what I'm hoping to get from each exercise. So, like I said, breathing's first up. And for this one, I'm going to be using the grade 1 exercises from the grade 1 page. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to choose one of the scales. So I might choose A natural minor. I'll start with that one. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to play each note of the scale. I'm going to hold it on until I run out of breath. So just for the sake of the video, I could probably hold these notes on for about 30 seconds. So just to cut down the time, because you don't want to be listening to me play notes for 30 seconds, I'll just play them for a relatively long time, and then I'll explain what I'm thinking of after I've played it. So this is the A natural minor scale. So that was just the first 3 notes of the scale. And again, what I'm thinking about, I'm thinking staying nice and relaxed. So my breathing is all coming from my stomach. It's not up here. I'm not tight and sort of all tense. Nice and relaxed. Nice breathing. Good posture. So shoulders back, stood up nice and straight. As well, I'm thinking about the tone quality. That's basically the main thing. I'm thinking about my breathing, obviously, but I'm also thinking about the sound that's coming out of my instrument. So as I'm playing these notes, I'm thinking about the beginning, the middle and the end of the note, and I'm trying to make it the same all the way through the note. So you might find as you're running out of breath, if you're holding the note on for as long as you can, the end of the note, the sound might start sounding either breathy or squeezed or sort of wobbling around. So your aim is, throughout your whole breath, is to keep the sound coming out of the instrument the same all the way through. One more point on sound is that obviously you want to make the nicest sound possible. So you're after a nice big round sound. We don't want anything harsh or too loud or too quiet. So a nice decent volume, really good sound quality, and make sure it's the same beginning, middle and end. So after I've done some nice long note practice, up and down the scale, you could use more than one scale. If you want to do a really thorough warm-up, you could do every single scale in the grade section of your of the book. If you're doing grade 1, there's 4 different scales. If you're doing obviously grade 5 or grade 8, then there's much more scales to learn. So 1 or 2 of the scales, making sure that your lips are nice and warmed up, your breathing's nice and steady, and you're focusing on your sound. So after that, I'm going to do some lip slur or lip flexibility exercises. So these are all nicely graded in the book. So the grade 1 ones, which I'm going to demonstrate now, nice and easy. As you go through, if you're working on grade 8, then you'll obviously do your grade 8 lip slur exercises. Just one small note, a really good way to do your lip slur exercises is if you are, let's say, grade 5, if you play the grade 1 exercise, lip slur exercise, and then the grade 2, and then the grade 3, and then the grade 4, and then work your way up to the grade that you're working on. That's a nice gentle way to warm up, and you're not going to be doing any sort of strenuous things with your lip. And by the time you get to the lip slur exercises that correspond to your grade, then everything's going to be really nicely warmed up. So I'm going to play the grade 1 lip slur exercise here for a demonstration, and what I'm thinking about, other than nice relaxed breathing, I'm going to be thinking about my tongue position. So by that, I mean for the low note, I'm going to be in an O, nice open O position. For the middle note, R, and for the high note, an E position. So to, a, E for the low, middle, and high. It's exactly the same as if you were to whistle that. When I'm whistling, my lips aren't moving at all. It's just the tongue position in the mouth, changing the speed of the air, which gets the different pitches. So, grade 1 lip slur exercises. as well as the tongue position, I'm thinking about, again, evenness and sound, quality of the sound coming out of the instrument, and the changes between the notes obviously need to be as smooth as possible to achieve that nice slurred feel. So if you wanted to extend any of these exercises in the book, this first one uses open, second, first, 1 and 2. If you wanted to extend that, 2 and 3, 1 and 3, and all 3, that's all the 7 valve combinations on the trumpet and the French horn. After my lip slur practice, I'm going to work on my tonguing and articulation. So again, using any one of the scales. This time, still working off the grade 1 pages, I'm going to use the C major scale. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take each of the notes up and down the scale, and I'm going to play a rhythm on each of the notes. You can make up the rhythm. It could be a nice jazzy one if you're going to practice a nice jazzy piece after your warm-up. If you're going to play a faster piece, then use a faster rhythm. So for today, I'm going to use the rhythm ta 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 on each of the notes. So I'm going to play the C major scale up and down, and with that rhythm on every single note. So whilst playing that again, it's evenness. The low, middle and high notes. Was the sound the same on all of those notes? Was the start of each note the same? So the t at the start of each note, I was trying to make sure the low, middle and high, every single time I articulated the start of each note, it's going to sound exactly the same. So that's the tonguing one, dead easy. Again, you could choose 2 or 3 different rhythms and play the scale more than once, or you could use more than one scale, and you could play maybe 2 or 3 different scales with a different rhythm on each of the scales. So that's getting your tonguing nice and warmed up. Next up is it's a combination of the tonguing exercise we've just done and the lip flexibility or lip slur exercise, and it's to practice out intervals. So again, from the Trinity book, I'm going to use one of the arpeggios. So again, I'll just use the grade 1 ones for the time being. I'm going to use the C major arpeggio, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to play the first note, and then the second note, back to the first note, and then the third note, back to the first note, the top note, and then back to the first note. So it should sound something like this. And when I'm playing that, again, nice even sound, nice crisp t to start the note. And I'm thinking the ta, 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 ti, ta. So nice tongue position, but this time instead of doing the slurring tongue position, I'm thinking about the tongue position whilst articulating the start of the note. So instead of ta, ya, o, I'm thinking ta, ta, ti, ta, ta, to change the pitch of the note. So that's the interval practice. Last thing on that is you can flip it upside down. So instead of starting on the low note, you can start on the high note. So this time I'm going to flip the exercise upside down, and I'll tell you what note to play. Still using the C major arpeggio. So that time I started on the high C, C, G, C, E, C, low C, back to the high C. So again, the ta and the T. The T and the ta, so apart, I should have said. Last thing that I always do in my warm-up is warming up my fingers. So just a quick recap before this last bit. We start off with breathing. So it's the most fundamental thing about playing a brass instrument. Get your breathing right first. Then we add to that good breathing, and then nice slurred lip slurs for our tongue position. And then the third thing is our articulation and tonguing, which is making sure that the start of the notes is nice and crisp, with a nice t syllable. And then we add to the t, we add the ta, ta and t for our pitching. And then the last thing is where you're using our fingers. Get our fingers nicely warmed up. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to, again, using the grade 1 as an example, you could use the same technique with any of the scales for any of the grades. Obviously, If you're playing the scale in 4 or 5 sharps or flats, it's much more difficult on the fingers. But for the ease of explanation, I'll stick with grade 1. I'll stick with C major. So what we're going to do is we're going to take pairs of notes. So I'm going to take the first 2 notes, which is C and a D, and I'm going to play between those notes just to get my fingers nicely warmed up. So here we go. And then I'm going to take the second and the third note, which is D and E. Then the third and fourth note. Then the next 2. So I carry on that pattern all the way up and all the way down the scale. I'm making sure I'm slow in between, so I'm not limited with the speed of my tonguing. And I'm making sure that it's rhythmically nice and even, so there's no uneven rhythm between the notes. And again, I'm thinking about evenness in sound and consistency. The low, the middle, and the high notes need to sound equally as easy, same nice big rounded sound, and the changes between all of the notes are nice and smooth. So once I've done that, I'm pretty much there. I've warmed up, I've done my breathing, I've done my lip slurs and lip flexibilities, I've done my tonguing on one single note, I've then done some interval practice, switching between the notes, between the low, middle and highs, and then I've got my fingers nicely warmed up. So that's basically my warm-up routine every single time. Maybe not necessarily using the exact same exercises that I've explained today, but the breathing, lip slurs, tonguing, intervals and finger, it always happens in that order. Whether I'm just making it up from the top of my head or whether I'm following all the notes written down on a separate warm-up sheet, or whether I'm sort of making up my own warm-up using the resources from the Trinity box. So, I hope you enjoyed today's video and I will see you soon.